Hi, I'm Lyndsie Schultz. I'm a PhD student at Washington University in St. Louis, and I'm here to discuss my paper, Inequitable Dispersion, Mapping the Distribution of Highly Qualified Teachers in St. Louis Metropolitan Elementary Schools. Having a highly qualified teacher in an elementary classroom is vitally important, as elementary children spend the majority of their day with their classroom teacher. An elementary teacher is typically responsible for teaching the majority of subject content, so having a teacher who is effective helps ensure that students are receiving their content instruction from someone who is knowledgeable and knows how to teach it. This study uses both No Child Left Behind's definition of a highly qualified teacher and additional measures such as master's degrees and certification status to examine whether or not the geographic distribution of elementary teacher qualifications in the St. Louis metropolitan area is equitable. It is important to note that many states have begun to request Elementary and Secondary Education Act flexibility waivers that allow them to waive some of the requirements of NCLB, including those requiring highly qualified teachers. Missouri is one of 42 states that has been approved for such waivers. School districts in Missouri now have the option to follow the Missouri Educator Evaluation System, or the MEES, or to create one for their own district that is similar. The MEES is comprised of 7 principles that are designed to measure teacher effectiveness. Although the definition of teacher effectiveness is not clearly defined, the Missouri Department of Elementary and Secondary Education insinuates that this will be evident through improved student performance. The MEES was recently field tested in the past school year and will be fully implemented in the current school year, so 2014-2015. However, results from the MEES will not be released to the public, unlike NCLB teacher data. Further, it is important to highlight that researchers have not yet identified the specific teacher characteristics that compose teacher effectiveness. Similarly, results from studies that examine highly qualified teacher compliance have been inconclusive, especially when factors beyond the NCLB definition of teacher qualifications were included. Also, very little research has focused on the distribution of highly qualified teachers within elementary schools and have instead focused at the secondary level. My paper uses Pearson correlation analysis, independent 2-sample t-tests, and Geographic Information System, or GIS technology, to examine the nature of teacher distribution patterns by student race and student socioeconomic status within the entire region. Further, an in-depth analysis of the exceptions Missouri currently allows to the highly qualified teacher requirement were examined. Overall, results from this study indicated that elementary schools with higher levels of poverty and students of color within the metropolitan St. Louis area continue to struggle to meet the demands of an equitable teacher force, despite NCLB's requirements. These results are consistent when both the NCLB definition and additional teacher qualifications are used. Also, an in-depth investigation into the information regarding teacher certification within St. Louis Public Schools, the area's largest district, revealed some troubling results. According to the 2009 data sent to the Missouri School Improvement Plan, over 700 SLPS staff members had inappropriate certification, and over 60 had either expired or no certification at all that year. Nearly 75% of SLPS elementary schools could not meet the state required minimum of having all of their teachers regularly certified. Additionally, Teach for America is a prominent force within SLPS. About 1/3 of the Teach for America teachers within St. Louis public schools are placed in elementary schools. These teachers are considered to be highly qualified despite not meeting the state's minimum requirements. Thus, these teachers could be potentially skewing the numbers that SLPS is reporting. Given that research has shown student socioeconomic status significantly impacts the cognitive growth of young children, students from lower socioeconomic backgrounds need to have a highly qualified teacher from the beginning of their schooling experience. Therefore, policymakers should be sure that they are enforcing the NCLB mandate, as failing to do so may be negatively impacting the cognitive growth of students in schools with higher levels of poverty and students of color. Additionally, While any bachelor's degree counts towards the highly qualified definition within Missouri, administrators should consider hiring teachers with elementary specific degrees, given that prior research has demonstrated their importance in impacting student achievement. Last, the use of the MEAS needs to be further examined. Teach Great, an education reform group within Missouri, is currently pushing to legislate the use of student growth and performance data to dominate a teacher's evaluation, more than 50% of their evaluation. This is troubling because more research needs to be done to ensure that elementary certification processes are continuing to lead teachers to produce effective practices within the classroom. Attempting to evaluate teachers in a high-stakes way without the research to back it up may lead to problems down the road for Missouri.